I was a boatswain's helper. All I had to do was put in USS Lenawee, APA 195, and the ship comes up on the computer. And what they say is it's the asbestos ship. In other words, I was a deckhand. And where I slept on the ship was the bottom portion of the ship. And I slept right under the piping that goes throughout the ship. And it was all covered in asbestos. I would wake up in the night and bump my head. That's how close my rack was to the asbestos. So as long as I was on the ship, I was breathing asbestos right over my bed. Being a deckhand, then we chip paint and paint. Chip paint and paint. We sand after we finish chipping the paint. We sand everything down on the ship. We go down on the side of the ship. We go up the ship, down the ship, constantly working on the ship. And asbestos is all over that USS Lenawee, all over the ship. So everything I did put me in contact with asbestos. I had already done an X-ray a long time ago, and I had already had an X-ray, and I already had the sleep app breathing machine. But I lost the machine when I moved to Missouri. I moved back home, and I left the machine in Missouri, so they couldn't find it. And I'll have it for a long time again. I had it a long time back then. I had it for like, 8, 9 years. And I will have it for a long time again. I would still have it if I hadn't lost it. I will take care of it, most definitely. I took care of the last one. I just left it in Missouri, as I said. And wherever it was in Missouri, then I guess the people sold it. That's all I can say, ma'am. You told me, they told me if I was anywhere on that ship, if anything, I was assigned to that ship, then for me to call this number, and I called the number. And all I can tell you is that everything I did pertained to asbestos, and my breathing continued to get worse, and it is worse now, and continuing to get worse. And I can only claim that, too, when I was on the ship. I worked outside. Matter of fact, I was a journeyman lineman, overhead construction, climbing telephone poles, working. So everything I did outside had nothing to do with inside work around asbestos, nothing to do with asbestos. When I pulled up the ship on the internet, then I saw one guy that I served with. Everybody that served on the USS Lenawee, their pictures are on the internet showing, and they do have them talking about their experience with asbestos and being on that ship. So there's quite a few people that has commented about their asbestos, and they are getting treated for different things that has caused asbestos, such as cancer and I guess COPD and asthma, breathing problems, and whatever that pertains to the ship and that situation. Their pictures are on that internet. So if you pull that up on your internet, it will pop right up. It doesn't take but a second for that ship to pop up. And as soon as it pops up, it tells you everything about it. And it specifies that it is an asbestos ship. I didn't ask it that question. It just pops up with that answer on it, that the Lenawee was an asbestos ship. It was supposed to have been decommissioned when I got on it in 64 or in 63. But they didn't decommission it till after it came back from Vietnam. Then they decommissioned it. But it should have been decommissioned in 60, they said. But they waited to decommission it. So I guess that's how old it was, and that's how bad it was with the asbestos. I was less than a foot where my rack sleeping quarters was, right below the piping that was wrapped with asbestos, and it was peeling off the piping. I had to call and have them rewrap the piping on that when I was where I was sleeping on the ship. So I was breathing every night that I was sleeping. I was breathing asbestos in. When the stuff starts unwrapping, then only thing you know is the flakes be coming off, and you want it to get rewrapped. So that's why I asked to have the pipe rewrapped, because it was unraveling, and it was right over my head. My breathing is very bad and getting worse. My primary doctor at the VA felt the same way. He sent me for a few more tests and stuff, and they put in for me to get a sleep-out machine, a new one. So I have a new one, and it's helping me breathe better now. I'm sleeping a little better, but my girlfriend tells me that I'm still what she calls skipping a beat. My heart stops beating after so many after I breathe for so long, and then it seems like I just stopped breathing. She says it scares her a lot, and that's why I went back to recheck to see how come they weren't giving me that machine back. And then that's when they started putting in for me to get another sleep-out machine, because I had already qualified for one way back earlier in my career.